Well, as we talked about last week, the Charlie Kirk shooting is essentially, oh, we've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. The Charlie Kirk shooting was staged in order to crack down on speech that they don't like or speech that the government hates. And that's what they really mean by hate speech. It's speech that the government doesn't want you saying. They don't want you speaking the truth. They just label it hate speech, just like they're going to do with anti-Semitism or what they consider anti-Semitism. But anyway, Pam Bondi and Trump officials say that they will target hate speech and they call for the end of online anonymity in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting. And Trump signaled that he's fully supportive. Of course he is. He's the Antichrist. So anyway, it says here with Pam Bondi in this cartoon is perfect. The DOJ will be targeting hate speech, she says. Define hate speech, says the reporter. And she says, speech that we hate. And that's exactly what it is. Hate speech is nonsense. It's just a term that they use to restrict speech that they don't want to hear. And that's why they use it. Both sides do it. They just label different things hate speech and you can't talk about them anymore. And if you do, they're going to come after you, according to Pam. So as the Wine Press also warned and covered immediately after the Charlie Kirk shooting, we warned and expected this administration to start cracking down on free speech, gun rights, and expansion of the pre-crime police state. Yes, there's mass shootings going on as I'm speaking to you right now. One going on in Michigan, I believe, at a Mormon church there, or a Mormon temple, whatever they call them. So, yeah, they're going to crack down on gun rights because of all these shootings that continue to happen, and snipers and assassinations, and on and on it goes, right? But the more chaos they create, the more they feel that they can crack down. They're going to have the solution for your safety. It just means you have to give up all your rights and your guns and your money and everything else. Turn it all into the government. Then they'll decide, according to them, then they're going to decide what you can and can't have, what you can and can't buy, and all that crap. Anyway, over a week ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi, the lady who once claimed that the Epstein files are on her desk, ready to be released, said she and the Trump administration are looking to censor what they deem as hate speech. There's no such thing, but anyway. She said there's free speech and there's hate speech, and there's no place, especially now, especially what happened to Charlie. See that? They're emphasizing what happened to Charlie, as we said they would, in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you if you're targeting anyone with hate speech, anything, she says. Pretty broad definition, and that's across the aisle. And so the same day, she issued a similar threat on Fox News. If you want to go and print posters with Charlie's picture for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that, for not allowing them to print Charlie's picture, that is. We have right now our civil rights unit looking at that. Unbelievable. So now there's no right for a business owner to refuse service if they want to print Charlie Kirk's picture on their posters. They can't refuse that. Unreal. So conservative influencers and others online expressed their displeasure with Bondi. They're saying to get rid of her and that this is insane, and they're right. And then I like these cartoons. They got the MAGA hat here on the guy, and it says, businesses have the right to refuse service to anyone. They just happen to be trans. And then they melt down when the business refused to print a Charlie Kirk poster. Unreal. And that's true. It's very true. Then Bondi doubled down in a post on X to clarify her remarks. She says hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. That era is over. Yes, they created the problem, right? Problem, reaction, solution. They've had a reaction, which people are sick of all the lawlessness going on. So now they're saying that era is over. And now they're going to crack down even harder than the Democrats would have. So they're saying that under 18 U.S.C., U.S. Code, it is a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. And it also makes it a felony to threaten public officials, members of Congress, or their families. You cannot call for someone's murder. You cannot swat a member of Congress. You cannot dox a conservative family and think it will be brushed off as free speech. These acts are punishable crimes, and every single threat will be met with the full force of the law. Yeah, those are completely separate and different crimes. It has nothing to do with free speech. So free speech protects ideas, debate, and even dissent, but it does not and will never protect violence. Yes, if you're calling for murder, that's a little different story, but that's not the case here. They're saying that They're essentially policing the internet for anyone that speaks out against Charlie Kirk or questions their narrative in any way. And they're going to call that hate speech. You just watch. On the same day Bondi made her inflammatory remarks, economic advisor to Trump, Peter Navarro, who was the fall guy for Trump's initial Liberation Day tariffs, called upon Elon Musk to censor violent rhetoric and for the end of anonymity online. Here's what he said. And if you want to make a real contribution, Elon, clean that damn thing up. Here's what should be done on X and Facebook and everywhere else. No more anonymity. No more hiding behind the mask of anonymity on social media. And it's not just people in this country who are spewing that. It's foreigners and swarming right now in our social media propagandizing. Well, over 50% of participants on Twitter or X or Facebook or any of these other social media sites, over 50% are robots. So who's doing the propagandizing? Go find the robot farms and cut them off, and you got it solved. But no, they just want to target everybody. And they're painting it with a very broad brush, this hate speech. So while conservatives are displeased with Trump's cabinet members and their rhetoric, it appears Trump is in support of online suppression. He claimed that people and outlets criticizing him maybe should be prosecuted. So now you're not even allowed to criticize Trump. See, it says right here. President Trump suggested today that media outlets are engaging in hate speech by being unfair to him and maybe should be prosecuted. Trump's statement demonstrates the inherent danger of hate speech laws. Those in power will always weaponize them to silence dissent. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what they're doing. Then some author commentary here. He uses Job 6:25 through 27. How forcible are right words, but what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words in the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as wind? Yea, ye overwhelm the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. As we predicted, Charlie Kirk's new martyrdom status will be used to pass a raft of draconian and technocratic oppression laws. Funny because I thought it was the evil left that was going to silence all of our voices, question mark. Trump and Melania have been big fans of pre-crime surveillance going back to their first administration. The Kirk shooting, along with another wave of shootings in recent weeks, and even today, will be used to justify this. Trump has also said that to take it down act, a bill designed to remove deepfake pornography, he might use the act to have content that criticizes him taken down. This is all alluded to in their AI action plan. The irony of all this is that Charlie Kirk rebuked the idea of hate speech. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? Like the song says, right? A little too ironic. Yeah, I really do think. Hate speech does not exist legally in America, is what Charlie Kirk said. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech. And all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free, he said. That was May 2nd of 2024. So the very guy that they're saying that we need to censor the internet for actually was against it and was against hate speech and said there's no such thing. And he was right. I'll give him credit for that. He was correct. But how ironic, don't you think? Wow. So there it is, exactly what we said would happen a couple of weeks ago after the shooting occurred. And this whole act was put out there. Now they're going to use it to target people they don't like in speech that they hate. So there you go. Now, one other story in regards to Trump. There's a new 21-point Gaza peace plan that's been revealed, and it's getting rave reviews from Arab allies. So it's addressing a lot of the things that the Arabs want addressed, and Trump is refusing to let Israel annex the West Bank, he's saying. So all 21 facets of President Trump's Gaza peace plan were revealed Saturday, including a staunch demand to release all the Israeli hostages in Hamas captivity within 48 hours of inking any deal, a push to de-radicalize the Palestinian enclave, and a commitment to end all fighting. The peace plan also paves the way to possible Palestinian statehood, the two-state solution that Israel says will never happen, and it lays out steps to revitalize the Gaza Strip and stipulates that Hamas cannot be part of any governing structure, according to the Times of Israel, which saw a copy of the full plan. Trump presented the plan to allies Tuesday at the United Nations, but its full scope had not been fully presented to Hamas yet. The plan lays out a series of strong demands to the terrorist organization and makes key overtures to Gazans. And so, under the proposal, all sides will work to redevelop Gaza, pour aid into the war-torn enclave at levels not lower than the January 2025 hostage deal. Israeli Defense Forces would gradually withdraw from Gaza, and Israel would agree to release key Palestinian prisoners. Hamas members who agree to peaceful coexistence will get amnesty. Those who want to leave will get safe passage to other countries. Critically, anyone who wants to return to Gaza after leaving will be allowed to do so. That marks a shift from February when Trump talked about having the Palestinians temporarily relocated from Gaza to transform the enclave into a Riviera of the Middle East. Steve Witkoff, the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, says that I think it addresses Israeli concerns as well as the concerns of all neighbors in the region. We're hopeful, he says, and I might even say confident, that in the coming days we'll be able to announce some sort of breakthrough. Gaza would also get a temporary government overseen by an international group involving the U.S., Arab countries, and European nations. They would develop a new economic plan to revitalize Gaza, including reduced tariff rates for an economic zone in the enclave. Regional partners will give a security guarantee to force Hamas and its allies in Gaza to fulfill their obligations. The U.S. and Arab allies will also craft a stabilization force to build up security in Gaza. Also, Israel will agree, not to annex or occupy Gaza and commit that it won't strike Qatar again, an attack earlier this month that roiled U.S. allies in the Middle East. Trump is expected to discuss the plan with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu when he comes to the White House on Monday. Netanyahu vowed on Friday to forge ahead with the war until Hamas is fully eradicated. Last week, Israel confirmed that it began a ground invasion of Gaza City. And it says the United States remains focused on ending the conflict in Gaza in a way that frees all hostages, ends Hamas terrorist rule, and facilitates the delivery of critically needed humanitarian assistance to civilians. That's according to a U.S. State Department spokesperson. And at the end of this article, it says, I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. Nope, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen, Trump told reporters on Friday. He said, it's bad enough. It's time to stop now. And there we go. And that will be it for now, at least for this particular segment. A lot going on, guys. I can only cover so much at a time. And these two stories jumped out to me this morning. And don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com is home base for all that we do. But a lot of stories here, over 2,700 now, actually over 2,800 stories here that we can't report. A lot of them we can't report anywhere else. Stories like this one here that I can't even mention on YouTube, and this one here, and so on. Over 2,800 now that you can peruse and research here on don'tspeaknews.com. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, there's a way to do so at the bottom of every article, and there's also a box under here on subscribe, contact Johnny. Click on that tab. Then the Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is right here. If you want to subscribe, you just type in your email here, click on subscribe, and you're in. If you want to support the channel, we are listener supported only. Just click on channel support, and all the links to support us are right there. And we thank you very much for that. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. Now, Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, all of that, all the places to find us on the interwebs are right there. And that'll be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.